Now, in its 11th year, this is GabNet. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Hey, everybody. Yes, it's me. Live from Harlem in New York City, Alex Bennett, and it's the Ramble. Ladies and gentlemen, out to California we go, and the lovely and attractive Larry Bubbles Brown. Hello, Larry.
Greetings, Alex.
How are you?
Good, good.
Good. How's things in San Francisco?
Let's see. Cold and windy.
Cold and windy. But how about the town itself? Has it improved at all since I talked to you the last time and asked you how it was?
Well, we've got a new mayor, so he's claiming to clean things up a bit, but I don't know if anything's
They
really
all say
happening.
that, don't they?
I know, yeah.
Yeah, we're going to clean it all up. That's fine. Yeah. Right. How do you clean up something like that? Well, I guess compassion would probably be the first thing in order. Don't you agree?
That would help, yeah. And what have they done down by the? I don't know if you know this. There's no longer cars allowed on Market Street.
Why did they do that? They turn it into a mall?
Well, they had a giant mall down there that cost $700 million. It's completely empty now because nobody can get down there to shop. So.
Well, wait a minute. Now, hold on a second. I understand limited traffic. I mean, we have what do you call it? Broadway here, all right?
Mm-hmm.
And it goes into Times Square. And where it goes into Times Square, and I think 7th Avenue intersects into Times Square. That whole area for many blocks is like almost a giant mall, but they left at least one lane open for traffic. They didn't do that on Market Street?
They should, but they didn't. So
See, Market Street, if people have ever seen videos of San Francisco, okay, all you have to do is look at the ones that show what's a ferry building down at the end of Market Street.
yeah.
And all this traffic going down Market Street. Are the trains still running on Market Street?
Yes.
Okay, so there is some way you can navigate.
You take the Muni down, yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't know why they do that. Plus, Market Street isn't exactly a place people go to shop anymore, is it?
It wasn't, but there was they built a huge mall down at the bottom there of Market Street that had, I forget how many stores, but it's completely empty now. It's unbelievable.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? Well, there was that whole area where the Emporium was and so on. Is the Emporium still there?
That's long gone.
Long gone. See, that's how far long ago I left San Francisco.
I think it had later became a Nordstrom, which also went bankrupt. So.
Well, see, stores today are having a hard time of it because I shop for everything online. We even shop for our groceries online now.
Well, Jeff Bezos has killed it.
Mm-hmm. Well, Amazon has, but then again, there are things like we have a thing called Instacart. In Instacart, you tell them, go pick up go to this grocery store, get this stuff, and get this stuff. And there's no reason for me to go down there, so there's not a lot of foot traffic in some of those stores. So,
right.
Whatever. Times change, I mean, we can gripe about it and we can say all kinds of things, but, we're old folks. We're supposed to gripe about it.
Yeah, we don't like change.
Do you ever find yourself saying, when I was a boy? Do you?
I don't use that phrase, but I'm always thinking about the past, yeah.
Yeah. In other words, how better things were?
I think they were much better. But,
okay. Well, here's a good example of a company that completely blew it. Go find yourself a Sears right now. Mm-hmm. You can't find yourself a Sears. There are no Sears anymore. Sears and Roebuck. It used to be called Sears. People would just call it Sears. Nobody called it the Gulf of Mexico either. We called it the Gulf. But, forget it. Anyway, so, it was just major or outfit, right? Sears. Tires. Basically, that's the stuff you got there, right? But they also had a thing called the Sears catalog. And into the last century, I think into the late 1800s, every home had a Sears catalog. And when you open this catalog, you could buy anything you needed.
I heard it was amazing.
Yeah, it was thick, and it had everything from garden hose to women's dresses, And they did that for years, and people ordered from Sears. And they would look through these catalogs when they came. Well, what is the modern-day version of that? The modern-day version is Amazon.
Yeah.
Sears was stupid. When Amazon started, they should have said, what a great idea. Why don't we do the same thing? Because we already have the whole catalog in place.
Yeah, they could have been huge.
Instead, there's no Sears anymore. Or if there is, they're online. But, that's why you have to keep up with the times. Otherwise, the times will run you over.
Well, I think Bezos said eventually the same thing will happen to him.
I'm sure. Something will replace Amazon. Not in the immediate future, but eventually, if he doesn't keep up with the times. So, I just think about all these things and, all the things that we have to accept as being the new way of doing things. And, I don't mind Amazon. It's the most convenient thing ever invented. I mean, they now have, sometimes the same day delivery. All right? It depends on what you order, but most of the time it's next day delivery. I mean, how much faster the next day do you need?
Exactly, and you can also see, here in our building, every day there's boxes piled up in the lobby.
Yeah. I mean, that's the way we get our stuff now. When I want a box of Band-Aids, I order it on Amazon. And one box of Band-Aids will come, So you can't beat that, can you?
No.
Now we have no reason to get off our asses.
God, Sears had a building in L.A., a huge building that had the rail. It was like a distribution thing 100 years ago. And they had the railroad came actually to this building, so they were the Amazon of their day.
Yeah. Yep, I bet Amazon has railroads coming to their doorstep, But it's all I'm saying is that times change, and I'm an 85-year-old guy who's sitting here going, well, I could complain about all this stuff, but I can't because it's the stuff I wanted when I was younger. This was the future I envisioned, and it's here. It's here more than I ever expected it to be. I mean, that I'm carrying around in my pocket a phone, a camera, a device that can hook up to the internet and order stuff on the internet. I mean, right in my pocket. I didn't even imagine that. So, of course, in your case, it's not in your pocket.
Well, the Amish.
Don't you somehow miss getting out on all of this?
Not really.
Not really. You're back down to dial-up, right?
Yeah.
You're really happy with that?
I'm happy because I hardly go on the internet at all anymore. So.
Well, you went on. You had the internet for a month.
For a while, yeah.
For a month. They gave it to you for free for a month, and after a month, you dropped it. And I went, why did you do that? And you went...
idiotic videos on YouTube. Got to be...
Well, no, you got hooked on YouTube videos is what happened.
Briefly, yeah.
And you didn't want to get hooked.
No, that's why I got off.
Well, as I tell anybody, you do have the option, It's just the better angels in you would not allow you to adopt it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, what did you watch on you watch YouTube, I imagine.
Yeah.
What did you see there? Did you see stuff you enjoyed?
People doing crazy. Well, there was always funny animal videos. Those are kind of funny.
Yeah,
and,
yeah. Well, we always used to kid about the cat playing a piano. Yeah, yeah.
And there was a thing called stupid ways that people died or something like that, and like people were doing like chin ups on like a 60-story building, things like that.
Chin ups on a 60-story building.
This guy is on this building. He's doing pull ups, and suddenly his left arm starts to shake a little, and oh my god! And then suddenly he just drops.
See, you were enjoying the internet.
Well, I wasn't. It was. They didn't show him fall all the way, but you just see him disappear out of the frame.
But by virtue of having the internet, you also had the ability to get a lot of the things like Netflix and HBO Max.
Yeah, no interest in that at all.
No interest in that at all?
No.
Really?
I don't think there's been a movie made in 10 years I want to see. So.
Well, you don't know about all the movies in the last 10 years because you don't have, like, Netflix.
Yeah, I just don't hear about it. I don't know who the movie stars are anymore, if there are movie stars. I don't know what's going on.
Well, there are some really great things being done on the things like Netflix. I actually happen to like Apple TV Plus better. I think it's better stuff. But, I mean, there's great stuff out there to watch.
Wow.
Yes, there's some really great stuff, you know. And you know what I really enjoy on YouTube? You know who Neil deGrasse Tyson is, don't you?
Yeah.
The astrophysicist.
Mm-hmm.
And he does these videos explaining stuff. Fascinating. And he ran one yesterday where he went over Christmas to Antarctica. And it's a fascinating video. It is just, you kind of sit there with your mouth wide open going, God, that's gorgeous. These giant icebergs and things like that, And so there are things on YouTube that if you don't want to watch the cat playing a piano are very good and very in informational, instruction-wise, and he's the best,
Yeah.
So anyway, what else are you doing with your miserable, pathetic, uneventful life?
I'm just bored, so I'm doing nothing.
You know what it was when remember when we did the show, right? The radio show. Remember the radio show?
Yeah.
Okay. I have to ask because my wife wouldn't remember it. Anyway, so the radio show, what was I going to say? Oh, yeah, when I had the radio show, I would spend the first hour of my show telling what went on in my life the day before, right?
Mm-hmm.
I had a lot of things to talk about. I went to this restaurant, and this person came up to me, and this happened to me here, and that. I have none of those stories now. Those stories are dead in the water to me, So I couldn't do that kind of show anymore. It's because I don't go out that much. My life doesn't have any interesting excitement. Ask me what I did yesterday.
What did you do yesterday, Alex?
Well, I went and I got the beginnings of my root canal.
Oh.
And then we went out and we had lunch. And then we went home.
Well, this is it. How does
Isn't that an exciting opening to a radio show?
Well, what did they do on the root canal?
They started the root canal.
They don't do it all in one shot?
Oh, no. They take this one will take about 2, if not 3 shots. Yeah. Wow. And if you've got a molar in the back, you could be going back for like 3-4 weeks. Yeah. So anyway, and this one's a little difficult because it's a front tooth and it's tiny, and she's got to go in with little tools and do all this stuff. So, and without them, she says, I have to do it without them breaking off inside the tooth. And I'm going, oh my God, there's a chance it's going to break off in the tooth.
And is it painful?
No, not in the least. I mean, you get the Novocaine, and then you don't have any problem. Okay, but I'll tell you what it is annoying. It is just annoying, and that's the part I hate about it. It's annoying. It's boring. It's asking me to keep my mouth open for an hour.
It's expensive.
Oh, yes, incredibly expensive. The root canal will run you
$3,000?
Nah, $2,000. If they don't put a crown on it. And most teeth in the beginning, they don't need to put a crown on it because it's still pretty stable. But eventually they have to put a crown on it, and that's another $2,000.
Jesus.
Yeah. So, welcome to the wonderful world of dentistry. But I'll tell you what did happen. Excuse me, I'm getting over a cold. Now, it seems like I have bronchitis now. Anyway, what happened that I hated, I was about ready to get up out of the chair and go, fuck you. Yeah.
Wow.
She says, okay, now she puts the thing in, she puts a pin in the tooth or something and says, we got to take an x-ray. Don't close your mouth. Okay. And I can't close my mouth. So now they are trying to figure out, because it's a new girl, how to take an x-ray. And rather than school her on that when I'm not there, they decide to teach her right then and there.
Nice.
And then they go out and they get the lead apron they put on you. They almost forgot that. I don't care, you know. I don't have any motile sperm right now, you know. So they're playing around with it. And my mouth is open when this pin is stuck in it, so I can't close it. And I can't even say, right? Trying to say, hey, will you get on with this? And she's going, and then you push this button, and then you push that button. Just earn while you learn on somebody else's time.
Yeah, that's outrageous.
Right? Just take the goddamn picture, because this is agonizing. It took them about 10 minutes to take the picture. And it should take, a minute.
I would have been livid.
And they were so brave. They don't even go into the other room anymore. I mean, the button is in the other room, but have you ever gotten x-rays at a dental office?
Yeah.
Yeah, they put all the stuff on you, put the apron on you, put the thing in your mouth, and then they run into another room to push the button so they don't get any radiation. What about you? Oh, exactly. Wait a minute. You've got that lead apron on you. That's going to help. So anyway, let me change the subject here. I don't want to depress you, but I think I probably will. I didn't hear from Lori Thompson for, God, a week. I mean, I would write her a lot, and I didn't get any replies or anything. And finally, I get a reply, and it's a picture of her in her hospital bed with a tube down her throat, and I guess knocked out, so she can't feel it. She was on a what do they call it, ventilator. And she wrote me and she said, well, this is over with, but I was this way for 3 days. But she wouldn't tell me what happened.
Jesus.
And she's been she went through radiation, and then she went through chemotherapy. And then she was having a bad time with the chemo afterwards. She had a hard time talking. She finally got her voice back. But then she was like, she was having all kinds of problems. And I think it had something to do with the chemo, just a bad reaction to it or something. But, I mean, come on, I feel so bad for her that she has to go through any of this.
God, that's horrible.
you know. And I miss her. I mean, we did things just like you and I do regularly, every 2 weeks. And she was great to talk to because that chemistry between her and I was still there, just like it is with you and I. And it was wonderful. And she did, you know, it was what it was. It wasn't. It just I felt so bad for her, and I really miss her. You know. So I don't know. Keep a good thought out for Lori.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know what was going on. I suspect it was the chemo, which I've been looking up chemo, and I've decided chemo ain't a good idea.
I think it's so barbaric.
Yeah, it's what they do when they don't know how to do anything else. And when you're in the panhandle of Florida, that's about the kind of care you're going to get. You know, this just really, okay, we'll knock it out with chemo. We'll knock it out with radiation. I mean, I had prostate cancer, and they knocked it out with seeds. Didn't affect me at all. The chemo would have knocked me for a loop, and it probably wouldn't have helped with the prostate cancer. So
it kills everything in your body. That's the problem.
Yeah. It turns everything bad in your body. So anyway, so I feel so bad for her that she had a little thing in her neck, and it pulled it out, and it turned out it was malignant. Okay, so then all of a sudden they throw all this stuff at her, and I wish she were in New York, because probably if she were here in New York, they don't jump into stuff like that. You know, they don't just suddenly, hey, Monday we got to bombard you with radiation and give you chemo. They wait and watch in a lot of cases. You know, they check to see if it's spread. If it hasn't spread, fine. If it has, then maybe we got to go with the chemo. But they don't take that kind of approach there in the Panhandle. These doctors are, we don't want to get sued. Let's bombard her with all this radiation.
Jesus.
And I'm not like RFK Jr. I don't believe that certain things shouldn't be done and certain things should be done and all of that. I just believe, hey, you know, what? You know, I mean, I just believe that you take it a step at a time. And that's what all my doctors did. I mean, with my prostate, they took it a step at a time. They said, this is what you need. You need the radiation, then you need the seeds. In the case of my leukemia, it's a kind of leukemia that it's a wait and watch. They just sit there and wait and watch. But if I were in the Panhandle of Florida, they'd probably be bombarding me with radiation right now.
Or chemo, yeah.
Or chemo, yeah. That's how we'll get rid of leukemia. Yeah, sure. And I looked up chemo, and I said, how effective is chemo? And most of the stuff that came up said it has limited ability. So why do you make somebody have to go through that and make them sick? And I saw this picture of Lori in her hospital bed, which her husband took, and I said, excuse me, folks, that's the remnants of a cold. She's in the Panhandle of Florida, so that's how they're handling it. And I'm sure it was the chemo that caused her to be intubated. You know.
Yeah. Too bad you didn't get a second opinion or go somewhere else.
Well, I wish you were in New York. You know, if you're going to get medical care, best place to be. San Francisco would be fine. Los Angeles would be fine.
Yeah.
But the Panhandle of Florida, I'm sorry. You know, the most they have in that state is Disneyland, for crying out loud, you know. And they haven't found a cure for cancer yet, okay?
Yeah, it's unbelievable, huh?
Mm-hmm. So keep a good thought out for her, you know.
Yeah.
I've lost too many people. Too many people off my show have died already.
Some from Canada, like Christy Fraser.
Christy died, you know. And now Lori is going through this. So you better watch out, mister.
Jesus.
Yeah.
We're dropping like flies.
And I have a thing with my doctor in a week, my GP or whatever. and he takes blood, but so does my leukemia guy, and he takes every blood thing going. So I'm going to tell my guy, don't take the blood, just go look at my records. You know, have my blood tested every 6 months. I don't need you to suddenly be sucking it out of my body. And, a few other things I'm going to tell him, which he ain't going to be happy. Anyway, but he's always looking for stuff. I mean, he did find the leukemia. I got to give him credit for that. Anyway, hey, listen, we've run out of time, and I'm sure people are really happy to hear about cancer.
Yeah, that's a good way to end the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, Larry Bubbles Brown. Thank you, Larry. See you next week.
See you next week.
Yeah, bye.
Now, in its 11th year, this is GabNet. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Hey, yeah, so let me turn this on. Okay, now there we go. Ooh. Now it's fine. Now it's good. Okay. Hello, everybody. How are you? It's Friday, and another day of me being overly tired. I fell asleep tonight before at 6 o'clock, was it? 6 to 6:30? Caught a little nap, so I'm feeling better, but I got to drink coffee here to wake me up. And then, of course, I won't be able to go to sleep tonight because of the coffee. Oh, well. This is what happens when you get older, Anyway, let me bring these people on here. There are just three of them waiting. There's the top of Jeff's head. Jeff, put your whole face in there, would you? Are you there, Jeff? Yeah, he's there. Hello, Jeff. Can you hear me, Jeff?
Yes, I can.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, there we go. Okay. Yeah. And when you get a chance tomorrow, clean your lens. It's all dirty. Oh, and he's going to clean it now. See how much better it is now? It's just one little swipe and that took care of it. Wow. That's amazing. That's okay. No, I don't need to do any more. You could smear it again, Hello to Kevin. Hello to Josh. Is this all we're going to have tonight?
Hello to Alex.
How are you?
Caught a little bit of that damn allergy you gave me.
Oh, really? I gave you the allergy?
Yeah, because I talked shit the other night and said I never get them, and it happened today.
No, I'll tell you what it was today. We had, I think tomorrow it's supposed to be...
Don't even tell me. It just gets me all...
It's going to be almost 12. It's almost going to be 12, which is as high as it goes.
I'm glad you're there and I'm not here.
Yeah. And my eyes have been burning all day, and, my nose has been running, and, yeah, well...
I haven't had this bad probably 4 or 5 years.
Really?
Woke up and there was shit all day.
They say it's getting worse and worse. At least that's what Marjorie's doctor says.
Well,
her allergy
when is
doctor.
Trump going to take care of fixing this shit? I mean, we put him in there for it to get rid of the allergy, right?
Right. Didn't he promise? Wasn't that one of his things? He promised to get rid of allergies?
Fucking doesn't do shit.
Yeah, he was going to, I think he was...
worried about people in other countries and everything else.
Yeah. And hello to there's Kevin, and of course, hello to Josh. Hello, Josh.
Hello.
Hi.
How you doing?
Okay, how you doing?
I'm doing all right.
Yeah.
Indeed.
How's this week been doing for you?
Not too bad.
Mm-hmm. You got some job prospects and stuff?
Yeah, a little bit. Nothing's really came together yet.
Yeah. Well, you got some time, don't you? You don't have to do it immediately.
I don't have to. I mean, I'd like to get going as soon as possible. But
what I always loved is when I got fired and they gave me they let me go, and then they gave me like a 6-month or whatever.
Lovely parting gift.
In my case, I think from Sirius it was 16 weeks. right? What you'd like to do is find another job immediately so you've got both those salaries coming in, but it never happens.
Yeah.
Did you get anything upon your leaving the other job?
What's that?
They give you any kind of severance at all?
Not much. Just a couple weeks.
Couple of weeks of severance. Wow. Gee, they really care about you, don't they, when they do that?
Yeah, it was nice of them.
I mean, can you imagine? I worked for Sirius XM for almost 10 years, and all I got was 16 weeks severance. Cheap bastards. What?
That's normally how it goes.
Yeah.
They gave me,
Hmm?
when I left, they gave me 2 times my years of service, which was 20 years, basically 19 years. They gave me 2 weeks for every year.
For every year.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a good deal. Oh,
Yeah, it
no.
was.
Yeah.
And you had 20 weeks, 20 years?
I had 19.
Huh?
Close to 20. It was 19.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. All right.
But they probably just didn't want me to firebomb the place.
Well, they're certainly nicer than the people are over at Sirius XM. They're a bunch of cheap bastards. I mean, the company's worth many billions of dollars. Don't you think they could have given me a little more
You think?
for all the?
Hey, Alex,
But yes,
you're not showing the panel on the YouTube.
I know. I'm not. I do that all the time. I'm sorry, folks. There they are.
Thanks, Tom. I
Yeah,
was
you
going to
got-
try and slip that
You
word in.
got your YouTube commenters just blaring away, and you're not. You never read their comments anyway.
They're yelling away at me. Wait a minute. Hold on a
Yeah.
second.
Hey, Alex.
Let me see here. What do I? Here we go. Here. Wait a minute. Where is it? Oh, there it is. Okay. But I don't see them. Where do I look at them saying what they got to say about me? Oh well, I don't know. Oh, I know where it is. Oh, you know that
It's on
isn't
the
where it
right
is.
side there.
Yeah, wait a minute. I'm trying to look at where it is. Huh?
Well, they never come on, so screw them, right?
Yeah, screw them. They never come on.
Yeah. If they really want their opinions held, they should come on the program.
Yeah, but I can't figure out why I'm not seeing that. Where is it? Where do I do
It's
that?
usually on the right side.
It's usually.
Or you
Oh, I
click
know
on the
where it is.
comment.
I know where it is.
The top-
Okay,
yeah,
there
chat.
we go.
It's the chat.
Yeah, I didn't. I was trying. I didn't know where to look. See, for some reason I'm getting very bad at this. You know, I'm getting really lousy at it.
Welcome to your 60s.
Hey, Alex, one says, bring them on. I wouldn't know what that meant. Alex, bring on the panel. Oh, I see. That would get to
Yeah,
me.
that's what they got.
Scotty, we need more antimatter. What's that all about?
I don't know.
Probably from
the
your
lead apron is slowly going away. What
That's
is,
from the dentist.
that was
The
from the dentist thing. Yeah.
Yeah, from your conversation with Bubbles.
Hey, have you people been to the dentist lately and gotten X-rayed?
Well, not the last time, but I've had a lot of dental work this past week. In fact, I got some dentures put in because the cost of implants was just prohibitive for me. So
Yeah.
I said, give me some dentures and I'll stick them in. So I'm getting used to them.
Yeah, but what they do with the dentures and the implants is they take the whole denture and then implant it.
Uh-huh.
They don't do it tooth by tooth.
Yeah. Well, I got 2 teeth that are just sort of like.
Yeah.
There's
Well,
a-
anyway, when they did this work, did they take X-rays as they were going along?
This was a couple month process.
Yeah. And do they still put the apron on you?
Put the apron on me and go
Oh.
on the other road
Oh, okay. All right.
because they're doing that all day long. So the limit their exposure.
Well, my guys, I don't know what it was, but they actually stayed in the room to hold the thing in my mouth.
Huh.
And then they, I don't think there's that much radiation. Okay. It's not that incredible. But what the hell? What do I know, folks?
Well, we've talked about the foot machines in the shoe stores when we were.
Oh, I remember that when I was a kid. Yeah, you used to go. I used to love those things, by the way.
I never, you know what? I remember putting my feet in it, but I never really got my
Let's
feet.
explain this to people who are a little younger here. And I don't think Josh remembers this, or Alan certainly doesn't remember this. Kevin probably doesn't remember this, but he may. But they used to have these things at shoe stores where you could put your feet in this thing, and it was like a fluoroscope or whatever, and you could see the bones in your feet and how well the shoe fit. They didn't think to just stick their thumb down, but they had to give you a dose of radiation, and they took those things out. I think they found they were putting out with too much radiation.
Yeah.
A lot of people died from it, but especially the people that were getting radiated were the salesmen. They would stand there foot after foot after foot.
Are we sure people died from this?
Yeah, well, that's what they said.
I don't know.
Yeah, but they say a lot of things.
Well, the boxes, if I remember right, weren't very well put together. They didn't have lead panels.
Well, they were little wood boxes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember as a kid. I remember them. I'm old enough.
Really? They did them when you were a kid?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I stuck my foot in there, and it looked like a hand.
Well, as a kid, I loved it because they let you see them. Oh, look, there's the bones in my feet.
They did.
That was so cool. That was so cool. But I guess maybe I got over radiated or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
My mother worked on shoes. She told people charge their chairs, their new shoes. I mean, usually for ladies. But they did it too.
I think this was usually in the boys' shop. What I found.
You get the boys, the girls, whatever, anybody.
And
she would one of those.
And she would radiate them, right?
Yeah.
Wow, so you remember those things. Yeah. Those were one of the fun things for kids. Kids really enjoyed that,
She didn't die for it. She didn't die for it.
No, I don't know that they gave out with that much radioactivity. There are a lot of other things.
She was there.
There are a lot of other things in this world that, that give you radioactivity. But what do I know? You don't remember these, do you, Josh? You're too young for this, right?
I don't think I saw one. Not that I remember.
No. I'm sure you would have been excited to had you. But
Probably not.
I don't know. It made going to the shoe store fun. Okay, I didn't realize that I was dangerously radiating myself, but I don't. Were they called them fluoroscopes, didn't they? What was the difference between fluoroscopy? Oh, there's a good word. Fluoroscopy and radiology.
Radiology is the training of how to use X-ray equipment, and fluoroscopy is a piece of equipment they use, like if they're going to do a barium enema or something like that, or
Great.
Or the catheter, when they run the catheter through your vein to put a stent in, they use a fluoroscope.
Oh, really? Okay, because what this thing was, I think, was a fluoroscope for the feet.
I think so.
Yeah, because I remember the picture being green.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's right.
So,
That was just this. I don't know if.
Oh, my memories of my youth. It's such wonderful things to look back on.
Yeah, but the
Nobody else
salesman,
knows
because they didn't have lead inside there to stop the radiation, the salesmen were always leaning against these cabinets and stuff, and they died. I mean, they got radiation poisoning and died a lot.
Are you sure they did?
Why don't you Google it?
Okay.
Somebody who, I'm trying to do a show here.
Oh, excuse me. I mean, over the stupidest little things. Hey Siri, I'll look it up for you.
Look it up.
You do that.
I don't know how you look that up, but shoe X-ray machines
Sure, that's what.
or foot X-ray machines or whatever. you know. So
Go do your show. I'll look it up.
I'm doing my show. I just sit here and I do it. And when I get really bored and tired, I let Josh do it, you know. Go ahead, Josh. Host the show for a while. Let me go to sleep.
I did see it was last night, I think, right before your show came on, but I saw the headline. I did see the Supreme Court is going to have, they scheduled a special session next month in May to hear the challenges to the birthright citizenship executive order. So,
Mm-hmm. Isn't that in the Constitution?
Yeah, it is, right. I mean, that's why it'll be, you know, interesting. They agreed to hear it and then, scheduled it like on an expedited schedule. I think they're going to hear it in second week of May or something like that. So,
But why do they even want to hear it? I mean, if in fact it's in the Constitution, there's precious little they can do about it.
Someone has to settle it once and for all because, he's issued the order and then lower courts have denied it and put an injunction on it. And, the administration has appealed several times. So, even though they've lost each appeal, they continue appealing to the Supreme Court. I mean, technically the court could not hear it and refuse the appeal.
Mm-hmm.
And that would just basically mean, whatever the lower courts have said goes.
Mm-hmm.
But, that makes me kind of wonder if they don't want to hear it, maybe for the purpose of shutting it down and sort of putting some authority on some of, I hope this is the case too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like slamming the door shut in some kind of a, 8-1 or 9-0 ruling that says, it's unconstitutional and the injunctions were fine and here it is, it's done. And like,
Mm-hmm.
going on in this whole deal, putting something down and giving like this a strong pushback.
But you think it's a desire on their part to settle the thing once and for all?
I hope so.
Well, here's the thing. I got a question for you. The other day, the Supreme Court said that this guy down in where's it, El Salvador, had to be let go, and that the government,
brought back for to get his trial due process.
not even have a trial, just
Or
that he was taken away out of the country without any kind of due process,
right,
and he should be brought back. And so far, the government and Trump and the Trump administration have refused to go along with what the Supreme Court said.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my question to Josh is, doesn't this kind of piss off the Supreme Court? And doesn't it make his future relationship with that court not quite as good as it was?
They're less than
I would
100.
imagine, that's very possible. So that's what I'm saying is I think maybe they want to, it's possible anyway, I don't know if I think, but I mean, it's possible they would like to take such a high profile case, such as the citizenship deal,
Mm-hmm.
perhaps assert a ruling. I would hope that it would be overwhelming or unanimous and sort of strike it down, strike the blow, and let everyone know what the deal is. They've spoken, and then that way, if the administration ignores things, it's clear to the American people that what they're doing is illegal.
Well, the vote was 9-0. The vote was.
Right.
It was not
Yeah.
like it was a questionable vote.
So, my hope is that they want to get a couple of these things on the record to assert their authority where it belongs, where they have the right to protect their own institution, and to have it out there for the people, for the media, for the citizens, for everybody to see that this is how it works, this is how it always works, and we've never had a problem with this until, this clown started his nonsense and let the people then take care of that, by saying, okay, I think, this has gone on long enough, it's gone too far. This is not the way that we do things here, and this is not the way that we want to do things here. I don't know if that's the case. I mean, what I just laid out is kind of what I hope is like a best case scenario or whatever, but it is very
You see,
possible.
he's already pounding the fact that they were not elected. I was elected. That's the shit that he's putting out there, and these people are believing it. So, the Supreme Court's going to be very busy the next few years. I'm telling you, they're gonna get tired of this shit.
But the thing about the citizenship case is the main argument that the administration is making as well that they want settled, and I think this is another reason the court took it up, that the vast majority of their brief and their argument is that they don't like the fact that a single federal judge anywhere can place a nationwide injunction on some kind of order from the federal government, or the executive. I think that's totally stupid and it's wrong and it's illegal, even though it's happened hundreds of times, if not thousands of times in the last number of decades, right?
Especially from the right wing who keeps going to this one circuit in Texas to overturn
It happens,
liberal or people like Obama's or Biden's.
It happens 60, 80, 100 times every administration. It's how the student loan thing got stopped, right?
Yes,
That never went to the Supreme Court. That went to, the lower, all these injunctions and all that. They had no problem with it then. But that's their whole main argument. And they are arguing in their briefs and such that they want an answer to that question. So I'm almost hoping that the court took it up to be like, okay, you want an answer to that question? We're going to give you an answer to that question. We're going to give you a 9-0 answer that says yes. The Fifth Circuit, a judge on the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals can say this order is unconstitutional and is therefore here's a TRO until it goes through the appeals process. It doesn't go into effect. Yes, that is legal. That has been happening for decades. And it will continue to happen.
Well, let me once again say, this was an amendment to the Constitution. Am I correct?
Yeah, 14.
They gave birthright citizenship.
Yeah, 14.
In this particular case, right.
So they can't do anything about it. It's in the Constitution.
I mean, to me, they can't. But, they're
everything.
obviously going to have a couple lawyers, these clowns, that are going to go up there and argue that they can.
Well, they can't. They can't. The Supreme Court could not find, I don't think in this situation, that what he's doing is correct. If it were one particular case, and that was what was in front of the court, but it is the whole thing, right? Am I correct?
Well, yeah.
This is over 100 years ago. This was brought to the Supreme Court that ruled that birthright citizen is actually, if you're born here in this country, you're a citizen. And they ruled in the favor of a Chinese man.
Yeah, it's no different than well-established law that says if you are just visiting the United States of America, legally or illegally, doesn't matter. If you're within the territories and borders, you are subject to our Constitution. So if you're an illegal immigrant or if you just snuck across the border, whatever, and you get arrested, you have the right to an attorney, right? You have the right to, just like you would or I would, you have all those rights. It's well settled. The court's ruled on that several times. And some people might not like that. They might think that's so stupid. That's the dumbest thing ever. Okay, fine. I mean, my opinion doesn't matter. Yours doesn't matter. If that's what the people want, fine. Then all the people have to do is amend the Constitution to say, this Constitution only applies to, full-time natural-born U.S. citizens. If Joe Blow sneaks across the border and gets arrested 3 days later, he doesn't have the right to an attorney. He doesn't have this. He doesn't have that. We can pass an amendment that says that if we want to. I don't think it would, but I'm just saying that's what the amendment process is for. You know what I'm saying? We're back to the, we're back to the Justice Scalia argument that says, when you don't like my ruling, okay, fine. Then, get up off your lazy butt and go pass a law that undoes my ruling.
Well, a thing that would surpass the Supreme Court would be a amendment that was put into place, and that would the Supreme Court can't reverse an amendment, can they?
Right.
Okay.
So, that's my point, and I'm hoping that will be the court's point. That the court, I mean, like I said, in the real world, that they should hear this case. They should sit there and they should let their lawyers over there say all the nonsense they're going to say, and at the end of the term, they should come out 9-0, and they should say, "This was all a bunch of baloney. It's all a bunch of nonsense." Appeals courts can put injunctions and TROs on things. That's fine. It's been happening for decades. It's going to keep happening. The 14th Amendment stands as it always was. No changes are made. And if you want to change that, pass another amendment. That's our process. That's our word. Anyone who does anything otherwise is in violation of the law.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what they should say.
Now, what recourse does, if Trump continues to refuse to bring this guy back from El Salvador, go down and get him, bring him back, what recourse does the Supreme Court have?
Well, they don't have a lot. I mean, they can, issue a direct order that says it has to be done, and if it's defied, then, I mean, they don't have
they could throw Trump in jail if they hadn't already ruled that he couldn't be.
Right.
I mean, the recourse for the court is minimal. The real recourse is impeachment, removal. It comes through the other branches of government. I mean,
well,
and then
impeachment's an impossibility. Okay,
right. And then it ultimately is supposed to come from the people, right? If it doesn't happen and he defies it, and the Congress won't do anything about it, in a good world, in a decent world, enough Americans would be like, you know what? But we're not voting for that party in the next election, or their candidate for president. I mean,
but I would just think that the Supreme Court should be able to have some recourse if somebody refuses to do what the Supreme Court says.
Well, they have.
Or are they just a court in name, and anybody can have them rule against them and then go, screw you?
I mean, they have some. I mean, they can issue orders for a person to be, held in contempt and arrested and all that, but I mean, the question.
Well, I believe in this case they said the government has to return, not Trump, right, not a particular individual, but the government has to return him to the United States. But you can't exactly arrest the government.
Right. I mean, that's where you get into some.
So what are we saying? The Supreme Court has no teeth?
Issues. Well, it's not that they don't by choice or anything. It's by design. The system is meant for people to obey.
I mean, does this mean that they did away with Roe versus Wade, and that anybody who wants to, in spite of the fact that they did away with it, can go out and do an abortion and not have to listen to the Supreme Court?
Well, I mean,
Trump's MO.
Huh?
It's not
Trump's
designed.
MO.
It's not designed for the executive, to defy it. I mean, it's not really ever.
Most chief executives would go along with whatever the court said in honor of the court. Right?
But look who we're talking about.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, isn't he screwing himself for the future if he's not doing what the court says? Now the court is saying, you don't look upon us as being a body you have to pay attention to. You're just ignoring us. Doesn't that set up a bad precedent for Trump? Because now he doesn't have the court on his side anymore.
Wouldn't view it as a positive, right? I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Hi, Patrick. How are you? Good to see you here.
Yeah, I don't think the Supreme Court's supposed to be on a side, so to speak.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be just ruling on what the laws are or what the Constitution says, period. Not we're friends with Obama or we're friends with Trump.
Right.
So
But you expect
think
that if the Supreme Court says something, like this, you got to return the guy to the United States, that immediately the government goes, okay, that's what the Supreme Court said, we got to do it.
That's if they decide it, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like Josh said, that's where the three different branches are supposed to watch for one another. And that's where the legislative branch should come in and say, hey, you're not doing that. And ultimately, as Josh had mentioned, that's where elections come in.
Yeah, but then you've got a Congress that is totally Republican, and you've got a Supreme Court that is majority of them are Republican. Okay, so
But that's what the people want. And
I mean, the latest thing that I heard that was really disgusting is that they're going to sue. They're thinking of suing. The IRS is thinking of taking away the taxes exempt status for Harvard University. Now, that obviously is weaponizing the IRS. But they're going to do it. They're going to do it because they are pals with Trump. I mean, Trump put the IRS guy in there.
The irony of this is, remember the first time when Trump was running in 2015, 2016, he was arguing that conservative religious organizations should be able to take positions, political positions, and not lose their tax exempt status.
Right.
And he actually tried to do that, and then he I guess he gave up. But then since then he hasn't said anything about it. I mean, it's like,
yeah, but right now he's got the IRS in his pocket. Okay, so he can get them. He tells whoever the head of the IRS is right now. I have no idea. Maybe it's Dr. Oz. I have no idea. But go ahead, go get them. Go take away their tax exempt status. And the guy goes, okay, you made me the head of this, and I'm loyal to you, and I will go ahead and do that, even though it's I think, pretty terrible. It's illegal, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, how many of these people are going to kowtow to him and completely do away with all rule of law in this country? I mean, this guy down in El Salvador was an American citizen, I think, by marriage. No, by marriage.
No.
He was married to a citizen?
No, he's not an American citizen. Basically, what he did is through his one of his brothers, or his brother, he was able to escape, and he should have and could have, filed for refugee status, but the time elapsed and he didn't. So the judge that ruled in 2019 that he couldn't be removed voted that, says, he can't, even though he's not a citizen, he's in danger of being killed if he goes back to El Salvador by the gangs. Now, here's the ironic thing. The ironic thing was, not only had no proof that he was affiliated with gangs, the judge saw lots of proof that his family was being terrorized. His brother was being threatened with kill. He was being threatened, and the family got both of them out. And the judge that ruled in 2019 was appointed by Donald Trump. And when the judge actually gave the Trump administration, I don't know, 90 days or something like that to appeal. They did not appeal. And now they're saying this guy's a terrorist They have no evidence.
Well, there's no proof
No
to
evidence,
that being true.
and they will not say it in court, because if they say in court, they'd be committing perjury. So that's just,
Well, you know, I mean, whatever. This guy should not have been sent away. He was, in fact, the judge said that he was here on he had a refugee status.
well,
So,
no, he doesn't have refugee status. He is married to an American citizen, and he has been living in Maryland since he's been 16, from age 16, I think.
mm-hmm.
So he's been a long time, living here, but he is not a citizen.
Doesn't he get citizenship through his wife being an American? His wife's an American citizen, right?
Yeah. You can get residency status, and I don't know, but
I thought that by being married,
I don't know the details on that.
I thought by marrying somebody, you became an American citizen.
No, I don't.
If you wanted to.
You can become a resident by marrying a American citizen, but in that marriage does not confer citizenship.
Mm-hmm.
I know because when I got adopted, my adopted parents, Tandel Yamaguchi, also tried to adopt a woman from Mexico, and she ended up getting. She did end up getting.
Wait a minute, are you a citizen of this country, Tom?
I am a
Oh, okay.
yeah. I hope I am.
I don't know if we want to.
But even marriage, you can only become resident. So.
Patrick?
Yeah, just what Tom said, because I've got a good friend of mine. He married a gal. She came over from the Philippines, and they got married, and she became a citizen about 3 years ago, I believe, maybe 2 years ago, and they got married in 2008.
Yeah.
So she was here, but she was not a citizen.
Yeah, it can help you become a citizen.
Yeah.
You definitely, they can't kick you out. That's for sure.
Well, the funny part also in this deal is that they were saying that he was a member of a crime organization, and and then when they were asked, the government was asked, was this guy lifted illegally? The American government or the Trump administration or whoever was representing them said, yes, this was a mistake on our part. It was a clerical error. Mm-hmm. All right? And so that's when that judge said, okay, bring him back. Mm-hmm. You know what's happened to that lawyer who said that in court for the Trump administration? He just got fired.
Yeah. He's unemployed.
The government has admitted it was a clerical error. I know that we're trying to, the people are trying to free this guy, and he's become a big cause celeb. But how many other people were sent down there that shouldn't have been?
Keep throwing around 90%.
90%?
That's bullshit. I think that's bullshit, though.
Well, it might be. Let's say it's 50%. That's too many. All right? And really, those people should have been put on trial here in the United States and then deported if they were found guilty. That's the process.
Deported, but not put in jail. Deported. Deported. Not put in jail.
Right.
That's,
yes.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's if all those people are like really violent gang people and all that, that's fine. Then, in my mind, then we should have been able to prosecute them here in our criminal justice system and imprison them here. Yep. And make them pay for their egregious crimes that they've apparently committed so many times.
Here.
And then when their sentence was up, send them back to their home country.
Yes.
So I don't understand, and that's the thing, like, if there are people like that down there, I mean, I'm not going to shed a tear, I'm sure Patrick isn't going to shed a tear.
I'm not going to shed a tear either.
But the only thing that keeps them from being able to put them in there and not you and I is the trial system. Otherwise, you can just round anybody up, Mm-hmm. I mean, in NPR had an article they published today that says the administration is already talking about now increasing this to now include American citizens,
Correct.
American citizens that are so bad that we shouldn't imprison them here. They want to start
The
sending them.
United States, the Trump administration is thinking of funding, I think, 3 new prisons in El Salvador where Americans will be imprisoned.
You know, I mean, and it's you know, it's like, you know, and I'm sorry, but you know, I understand what I say when I say it. It's like, oh, the Jews are bad. We can't even imprison them in Germany. We should send them to Poland. I mean, it's
Yeah,
how it started.
Well,
you
let
know?
me ask
You know,
Patrick. First, Alan. Yes, Alan.
So I agree with what Josh and Kevin were saying. They should be tried, sentenced here, do their time here, and then be deported. We've always done it that way. But what I'm thinking is, you know, somebody mentioned the American citizens that they're gonna take them out. I got to tell you, in this country, if you knew you were going to one of these prisons in El Salvador, a lot of American citizens have guns, and there'd be a lot of military personnel laying on the lawn dead, or police officers that are coming to get you. It won't be that easy.
Well, it won't be that easy, but
This country is too heavily armed.
The fact that we're sitting here even talking about this,
Right. That's the biggest point.
is the terrible thing. You know, I never thought in my life that, you know, and they are thinking about taking American citizens and sending them down there. That's the latest thing.
As he says, homegrowners.
Homegrowner. Is that what he calls them?
That's what he calls them, homegrown criminals.
Homegrown
Send
criminals.
them down to you. That'd be good.
Now, what do you think, Patrick? I mean, you're the Republican here. You know, you're the conservative here. Doesn't this play against your sense of being a conservative and an American?
It has nothing to do with conservative or left-wing politics or anything.
Well, I'm just asking you as that
Right.
because you're different than all the other communists that are up here on this show. You know.
If the law says you can do it, then I guess you can do it, but it doesn't. So you shouldn't be doing it, and you can't.
I mean, don't you find something wrong with the way this thing was handled?
Absolutely.
You know, that these people, none of them were accused of anything. They were never handed any papers saying, you know, whatever. They were just put on a plane, a windowless plane, and sent to El Salvador.
Yeah, I mean, the Constitution says they have due process, so that's what should have happened. You know, and if ultimately some of these clowns are gang members and terrorists and that, then once they're found guilty, get rid of them.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. But let me ask Josh. Josh, do even people who are not citizens have right to a trial?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, anyone who is in the United States is subject to the policies, procedures, and laws of the United States, including the Constitution of the United States.
Fair trial, things like that.
And I hear, you know, the right all the time arguing and saying, you know, that's stupid and that's crap because, you know, if you go to, you know, Singapore, they don't treat people that way. Okay, fine.
Bullshit.
I mean, you know, but I'm just saying, you know, even if you conceded the point, fine. All right. So you don't like the rule. Okay. Then go do the process to change the rule. But until that rule is changed, you have to play by, you know, I mean, I sometimes don't like it when the other team scores some horseshit touchdown on some bullshit. You know what I'm saying? But that's the fucking rule. So, you know, until it's not, that's that.
Patrick?
Anybody remember that kid, I believe it was in Singapore, he spit gum on the street and he ended up in jail for like 30 days or something in Singapore, and he got lashes with like a bamboo stick or something?
Yeah.
The thing is,
The way they handle it there.
well, if you are in another, I mean, I'll guarantee you, if a woman is in Saudi Arabia and takes their top off versus takes their top off in San Francisco, I'm gonna guess in San Francisco, going to be okay, but in Saudi Arabia, she might not be okay. So,
She won't.
subject to the laws in whatever country you're in. And I know when I went to even the United States of Hawaii, there are laws there of you have to remove any ground, any dirt, any plant material.
Well, there's a reason. There's a
on the
reason.
plane.
Yeah, there's a reason for that, though.
Yeah,
Is
but
that
that's a
yeah.
law, and you're right. They passed it there for a reason. So
There's also another law there that you have to, if you bring a dog with you to Hawaii, it has to be put in confinement for something like 3 months to prove that it doesn't have rabies, because rabies could spread very fast on that island. And the reason why we don't allow you to bring fruit and so on is because their whole subsistence in Hawaii is a fruit subsistence. It's pineapples and whatever, and they don't want that to be hurt at all. So that's the reason for those laws.
Well, right, but you have to follow them, and if you don't, they will detain you. TSA will detain you if you've got dirt on your shoes, and it's not just a scuff. And there's problems. And if you want to go live in a jungle country somewhere, you're subject to the laws there.
I'm trying to remember when I went to Hawaii. This was years and years and years ago. I'm trying to remember if I didn't have to put some kind of plastic over my shoes when I got off the plane. But I don't remember. I seem to remember something like that.
I had to sign a waiver. There was some paperwork that we had to sign before we got off the plane.
Yeah. Yeah.
I never had any of that. I think the last time I went was around 95, 96, and I was golfing. I was out in the dirt. I was up on the volcanoes. Now, I was going to steal some rocks from the top of the volcano until I saw the sign that said, "Don't do that. The spirits will come get you." And I dropped the shit faster than I could.
How do you think I got paralyzed?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's see. I went in. When did I get out of the Navy? I'm trying to remember when I got out of the Navy. I got out of the Navy, I think, in 65, if I'm not mistaken. And
it was right. It was right at. It was like, was it 60? Yeah, 65. Yeah, you were talking about right after the Gulf of Tonkin incident.
Yeah,
which was
yeah. So
right?
I was right after 65, and then around 66, I was working in Sacramento, and they sent me to Hawaii for a couple of weeks to help set up a radio station there. And I remember, all the having to sign all the papers about I'm not bringing in any fruit, and
Oh, that, yeah.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Oh, well, yes, Jeff.
So what happens if a guy is an American and he marries a woman or a guy, whoever, that they don't become an American yet? They're legally in the United States, but they're not a president.
Wait a minute. I don't get what you're trying to say.
I think that puts them in a residence instead of a citizenship.
Right.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So, say the guy goes over to Paris.
Okay.
Can he come back?
Well, I mean...
If he's a resident, yeah, you should be able to.
If he's a resident of the United States, yes. If he's married, he probably has what?
Probably has a passport with an address on it and all that in America,
Yeah.
That kind of thing. So that's probably it. But, the citizenship is a little bit more involved. If you want to really become a citizen, you go through the courses, you learn about civil, the government and all that, the history, and then you go take a test, and then you get sworn in as a citizen. That's a little bit different of process than just being a resident.
But if you're married to somebody in America, but you're from a foreign country, what status do you have? Do you get a green card? Do you get a residence card? What do you get?
That's been curious.
I don't know for sure, but I believe it's residents.
If I've got $250,000, I can get a gold card.
No, it's 500.
Is it 500,000?
It's a 5 million. That's right.
5 million, you get a gold
Yeah.
card. Oh yeah,
You
then
can
you
buy
become
off
an
the
extra.
president of the United States.
Yes, exactly.
And you get a card with his picture on it. God dang it.
It's got his picture on it.
It's sick.
Yeah, it is sick. You know what is really sick? I got to mention this. I wanted to mention this last night. Maybe I did. I don't know. I don't remember anything anymore. But have you seen the Oval Office lately?
Yeah.
It looks like Fort Knox, for crying out
Yeah.
loud. I mean, you know, isn't that degrading to the Oval Office what he's done with all his gold cherubs and gold this and gold leafing and gold statues?
He didn't do that the first time, did he?
No.
No, 'cause
But I
he's
suddenly
planned on
noticed.
sticking around a while, I believe.
I noticed yesterday that when I saw the Oval Office,
Yeah, they
that
showed a back shot.
yeah, the whole thing is just crummy with this gold.
It is. It looks like his toilet. It looks like his bathroom.
It really does. Yes. It is pretty terrible. Is that a lack of respect for the Oval Office and for the White House?
Supposed to be able to do what you want with it while you're
I mean,
there.
usually a president comes in, he puts up like a picture of his wife over in the corner, and he's got a picture of his favorite president up there. And they change the rug if you want a different rug. They have a lot of rugs that they can put in there, and you know, but they don't. You're not allowed really to just overhaul the taste of the room.
What's he going to do when he gets pissed off and throws another cheeseburger against the wall?
Yeah. What were we going to say, Patrick?
You're allowed to change the drapes and the wall coverings, that sort of thing. But most presidents know that they're in there temporarily.
Yes, that's I think that's a good
the
way to
word.
put it. Yeah.
I mean, I think you could probably look back at most administrations and the drapes behind the Resolute desk are different colors.
Yeah.
But it usually goes between something like blue, red, gold, white, and that's about it. It's not purple with green stripes and shit like that. So
Well, this is just nothing but gold. This is like he put a gold kind of
That
thing
whole ornate over the fireplace.
over the fireplace, and then they've got some statues up there now and cherubs and things like that. And he was talking to somebody and saying, you know, that's real gold because gold paint doesn't look like real gold.
no, the gold leaf does. So
Yeah, well, he doesn't like gold leaf either. I mean, he just thinks gold is the most, and so then we've got a gold card now. Couldn't make it a gray card or a yellow card or something like that. They had to make it a gold card. And that means you have extra special privileges because you've got money. That, it's terrible. It's just terrible.
Patrick, how's your Canadian president getting along with Trump?
Wait a minute. Patrick isn't in Canada.
Patrick's not?
No.
Oh, I think he's confused.
You're thinking of
with
Steve, Trucker
Yeah,
Steve.
the guy, the truck driver.
Yeah,
He's a Canadian.
He's a
you're a
Canadian.
Canadian.
Patrick's from Wisconsin.
Yeah,
it's
whatever.
pretty much
He's a
like
cheesehead.
Pretty much like Canada, but not close enough,
It's
though.
almost the same.
Yeah, he's a cheesehead.
So Wisconsin.
Yeah. It's yeah. No, but that's you're thinking of Trucker Steve.
Yeah.
Only calls this show once in a while. But then again, Patrick only calls this show once in a while, so that's why he probably mistook him. But also out in California, Gavin Newsom's is not taking any crap from the government now. Do you like what Newsom's doing out there with his latest? Do you like what
I don't know. He's waffling. I don't know.
waffling in what way?
Well, say
In his Newsom way.
yeah. He'll say one thing and then another. And it's just, yeah, I don't know. I'm very perplexed by him. By the way, Barbara Lee is now the mayor of Oakland.
Oh, really?
That's official tonight.
Oh,
She got elected.
wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So she's not in the Congress anymore.
No, she left Congress. Well, she gave up her seat so she could run for the Senate, but she lost the primary to
Yeah.
So now her seat is occupied by a woman named Latifah Simon, who's just.
Well, we have 3 people here from California tonight. What do you guys think of each of you about Newsom? Do you like Newsom, don't you, Kevin?
No, you've heard me talk. I'm the same way like Tom, waffling. He does weird shit. He'll seem like he's getting on the right road, then all of a sudden you go, "What the fuck did he just do?"
Yeah.
You know, you can't figure him out. And that's not good.
We know how Tom feels about him. Alan, how do you feel about Newsom?
Muted.
Your mic is muted.
He's hot and he's cold.
Well, that doesn't give me an answer.
Well, and kind of what Tom said, you know, it's hard to tell, hot and cold. Sometimes he's really good, and sometimes.
Okay, let me put it this way: would you vote for him for president?
Yes.
Kevin, would you vote for him for president?
It depends on what day it is and what time it is.
Okay, how about you, Tom?
What he's done in the last 6 months.
I'm not going to talk about the presidential race until after the midterms. That's a rule I've kept for decades.
No, that wasn't the question I was asking. I was just saying, would you?
Now I'm not even thinking about the presidency.
No, okay.
But as Democrats,
Neither am I either. But this presidency I'm not thinking about it.
Well, the only thing I think about is definitely never voting for Trump. That's for sure.
Well, that goes without saying. You mean you don't want to give him a 3rd term? I love how he says he's maybe going to go for a 3rd term, and he hasn't even gotten 3 months into his 2nd term. You know, he's amazing. It's just amazing. What we're talking about here, folks, is what used to be our democracy, which is kind of, I don't know. It's,
Alex, by the way, speaking of conservative viewpoints on Trump, did you see what David Brooks wrote?
David Brooks.
David Brooks of the New York Times.
New York Times, yeah. Oh,
did you see that?
What do you mean by his comment about if you hire clowns, you have to expect a circus?
I guess you could say that's one way to say it. He says he's calling for a revolt. He says we need to rise up against Trump.
Isn't Brooks traditional kind of a right winger?
He's a conservative.
Yeah, he's a conservative.
But he's an intellectual conservative, sort of like a William F. Buckley.
Yeah.
But I was really impressed with what he wrote. I mean, it's like, he's calling for a revolt.
Yeah.
We need to, keep the institutions from being destroyed by Trump.
Yep, they certainly are. Well, this has been a nice little Friday. Good to see you, Patrick. God, that's a quick smile. Not that I don't see you sometimes once a week, but, it's on a little private call we make, which includes Josh and Kevin and Patrick. So this is almost a Saturday night. I don't know if it counts, but, it almost is a Saturday night. Jeff, thank you so much for joining me tonight. I appreciate it, as well as you, Kevin. We appreciate it. Josh, always good to have you here. Alan, thank you very much for being here. Tom, it's whenever I see your face pop up, I go, okay, it's going to be a pretty good hour, And of course, Patrick, you could call every day and I wouldn't mind, but you don't, but you do mind, so that's why you don't call every day. Anyway, that's it for now, folks. If you all want to, you give a big wave goodbye, and I'll give a big wave goodbye at you, folks. There they go, ladies and gentlemen. That's our citizen panel for tonight. Right next after this will be Amy Manuel, and she will have a citizens panel, and she'll be taking your calls on Zoom as well. If you want her Zoom address, you just go to gabnet.net, and at the bottom of the page on the right-hand side, on the third column, it says Amy Manuel. You click on that, and that'll immediately have you call her. I'll see you again on Monday with the pop-up show, and that'll be out on Facebook at 4 o'clock Eastern Time. And then I'll see you again next Wednesday, same time, same station in life. And in the meantime, as always, if you see her, you know what to do. Tell her I love her, okay? Good night, everybody. Have a nice weekend.